Increased DOT roadside inspections have resulted in more violations for brakes out of adjustment than ever before. Maintaining proper brake adjustment is a major safety concern and a complicated problem for most fleets. Not only does maintaining proper brake adjustment take time and money, but as linings vary from vehicle to vehicle, it becomes a complex maintenance problem. Many major fleets have installed gunite automatic slack adjusters. When properly installed, these slack adjusters sense and adjust your brakes automatically. That means not only safer balanced braking, but fewer tickets as well. These are the major reasons you should consider using them. You can count on gunite automatic slack adjusters for reliability because gunite has incorporated years of heavy-duty trucking experience, engineering, and manufacturing to provide you with a superior slack adjuster. With this model, I can show you how it works. The gunite automatic slack adjuster utilizes a force-sensitive design which maintains consistent and accurate shoe-to-drum clearance. Our exclusive approach to clearance sensing technology allows our slack to react to and adjust for variations in shoe-to-drum clearance without over-adjusting due to normal component deflection. Gunite automatic slack adjusters adjust at the beginning of the brake application when the drum is at its coolest and component deflection is minimal. Therefore, our design adjusts only for excess shoe-to-drum clearance. The unique clutch technology used in the gunite automatic slack adjuster allows the slack to accurately read shoe-to-drum clearance. This means that the gunite automatic slack adjuster will stop adjusting when proper shoe-to-drum clearance is achieved. As a result, you get balanced braking and reliable operation over the widest possible range of operating conditions. Gunite automatic slack adjusters deliver less downtime, reduced maintenance costs, and can help you with your ticket problem. Plus, safer balanced braking means shorter stopping distances and more safety for the driver. They offer completely unhanded design for universal installation on steering, drive, and trailer axles. Their space requirements are about those of manual slacks, and there are no external brackets, adapters, or special mounting holes needed. They really are a lot easier to install than other brands. We're getting ready to install some on a trailer right now. Come on out to the shop to see how easy they are to put on. Hi, Bob. Have you started putting those slack adjusters on this trailer yet?
We just began to start.
Good. I have some people I'd like to show how quickly and easily gunite automatic slack adjusters are installed. You don't mind an audience, do you?
No problem. You're more than welcome.
Before you begin installation, always be sure to block the vehicle's wheels. If the axle is equipped with spring brakes, manually cage the brakes using the manufacturer's recommended procedure. Then you must check the operating condition of the foundation brakes, including drums, shoes, linings, cams, bearings, and rollers. An automatic slack adjuster will not compensate for problems and deficiencies in the foundation braking system. All faulty or worn braking components must be repaired or replaced before you begin installation of your slack adjusters. The first step is to remove the existing clevis and slack adjuster. Keep the existing mounting hardware. You'll use them later. And don't remove the clevis jam nut. Install the new snap nut on the air chamber push rod in the same location as the clevis you just removed. Do not tighten the jam nut yet. Connect the clevis to the snap nut by tapping them together. Once snapped into the clevis, the snap nut cannot be removed from the clevis without damaging the clevis or the snap nut. The hex portion of the snap nut must come in contact with the clevis to ensure proper engagement. Pull on the clevis to check for proper engagement. Using the installation gauge supplied with the automatic slack, center the proper hole at the bottom of the gauge over the center hole of the camshaft. Insert the large clevis pin through the large hole at the top of the gauge and the small pin into the clevis. Adjust the clevis until all of the small pin is visible in the notch area of the gauge. Double-check the installation by making sure the hole at the bottom of the gauge is still centered in the camshaft when the small pin is visible. If the push rod threads protrude more than 1/16 inch from the snap nut, remove the snap nut and clevis assembly and cut the push rod to length. The push rod should not be more than 1/8 inch short of being flush with the end of the snap nut. On axles equipped with spring brake chambers, make sure the chambers are fully caged before cutting the push rod. If the spring brakes are not fully caged, the push rod can be cut too short. Tighten the jam nut. If you don't tighten the jam nut now, it will allow the snap nut to rotate and change the initial position, preventing the automatic slack from functioning properly. Apply anti-seize to the camshaft before installing the slack adjuster. Install the automatic slack adjuster on the camshaft using the original mounting hardware. Rotate the hex extension clockwise until the small hole in the slack link aligns with the small hole in the clevis. Install the clevis pin and the cotter pin. Move the clevis upward or downward until the large hole in the slack arm aligns with the large hole in the clevis. Install the clevis pin and cotter pin. Using the template, recheck for proper clevis setting. If incorrect, readjust. Fully apply the brakes and allow the air chamber to travel its maximum stroke. Clearance must exist between the slack and all adjacent chassis components, such as axle housing, suspension, and brackets. Release the brakes. Now adjust the brakes using the following procedure. Rotate the hex extension clockwise until the brake linings contact the brake drum. Back off the automatic slack by rotating the hex extension counterclockwise 1/2 turn. Backing off the slack requires considerably more force than with a manual slack, and a ratcheting sound will be heard. Now that the installation is complete, you should check for proper push rod stroke. To measure stroke, use a ruler to measure the distance from the face of the air chamber to the center of the large pin in the clevis. Make an 85 psi brake application and allow the air chamber to travel its maximum stroke. Again, measure the distance from the center of the large pin to the chamber face. The difference between the two measurements is the push rod stroke. Check the chart in your service manual for proper maximum stroke.
Now that we've seen how easy it is to install gunite automatic slacks, let's talk about some maintenance and troubleshooting procedures.
If you suspect a problem with your gunite automatic slack adjuster, perform a function test on the slack. Use a torque wrench to measure the amount of torque required to turn the adjusting hex counterclockwise. The torque reading should be 15 foot-pounds or greater. If the torque is less than 15 foot-pounds, the slack adjuster should be replaced. As an additional check, rotate the adjusting hex clockwise to ensure free movement of internal parts. If the hex cannot be rotated, the slack should be replaced. Never attempt to disassemble the automatic slack adjuster. Factory settings cannot be duplicated in the field. Instead, replace the unit. If the torque checks out and proper adjustment cannot be maintained, the problem could be in the foundation brake. Replace worn or broken components and recheck push rod stroke. When it's time for brake reline, the slack adjuster should only be backed off enough to remove the brake drum. The adjusting hex on the slack can be turned clockwise, which turns the S-cam over and allows the rollers to rest in the fully released position. At this point, you may proceed with brake shoe and drum replacement. Once completed, readjust the automatic slack adjuster to provide proper shoe-to-drum clearance.
Gunite automatic slack adjusters are factory sealed to protect against dirt, salt, water, and other corrosive elements. However, periodic lubrication is recommended every 6 months or 50,000 miles.
Gunite automatic slack adjusters are backed by one of the most comprehensive warranties in the industry. If you need additional service manuals, installation gauges, or technical assistance, contact Gunite.